We can now look at the ex-Great Central route through the centre of the Wirral. Since 1952, this was the route of the Bidston docks to Shotton iron ore trains, worked at the end by 9F 210Os. This is 92082 coming off Birkenhead Shed for one of these workings. The ore was imported at Bidston Dock on the northern side of the dock complex. In 1952, John Summers and Sons expanded their Shotton premises into a fully integrated iron and steel works. Therefore, it could make iron from ore instead of the previous method of using pig iron to make steel. Considerable investment in new sidings at Shockwick and at the docks was carried out, and not least the upgrading of the route to take heavier trains. This is Bidston Dock. 92045 arrives with empty hoppers and marshals them in the loading point. 92045 was among the first of the 3 9Fs allocated to Bidston XGC shed to supplement Robinson's 04280s in the mid-1950s. Bidston shed closed in 1963. At busy times, 3 ships could be unloaded in a week by giant cranes, which transferred the ore direct from the holds to the wagons. This could mean 60,000 tons. The hopper wagons were carried on 2 4-wheel bogies and weighed 24 tons. Their capacity was 65 tons, and therefore, in trains of 11 wagons, this could mean 84 trains a week. (92045) now backs onto a loaded train, while another 9F departs on the 13-mile journey to Shockwick sidings. The ore trains left the dock complex and had to cross over the new Brighton to Liverpool Central electrified line to take the connecting spur to Seacombe Junction. Then, on a curve, the train approached Bidston Station by Bidston West Junction. Here, delays could occur, crossing over the West Kirby to Liverpool electrified lines with its frequent service. Pittston Station was on the Wirral Railway. The line south to Hawarden Bridge, eventually owned by the Great Central, was open to traffic in 1896. It is on the former tracks of the Great Central that 44897 is shunting. The line went south of the Wirral Railway's lines to Bidston Goods. Another Black 5 heads an engineer's crane round towards Bidston Bridge Yard. 92118 is returning to Bidston docks with empties. The maximum load returning was 33 wagons, but this was not judged on weight, but on the capacity of the Bidston dock reception sidings. The passenger service along the GC route from Wrexham and on to New Brighton went over to DMU operation at the end of the 1950s. However, as late as 1965, steam could return to the route on summer bank holidays when the DMUs were strengthening the North Wales coast workings. This is ex-GWR Pannier tank 4683 on one such working with 5 coaches. As 4683 departs round the curve towards Seacombe Junction and on to New Brighton, an electric unit on a West Kirby train arrives. The service from Wrexham to New Brighton was begun when the Seacombe branch closed in January 1960, the service's previous destination. 4683 runs round its train at New Brighton as an EMU departs for Liverpool. .4683 heads for Wrexham over Storeton Bank and on via Hawarden. She would be withdrawn from Wrexham in October 1965. Back at Bidston, a piece of coal is pushed from the footplate of 45130, probably for the PW staff hut, or was it just too big to go into the firebox? The train is signalled onto the ex-GC line towards Pittston Bridge. Shunting the GC yard is Birkenhead's 44963. The yard has now vanished. Behind the signal box, the view is now dominated by the M53 mid-Wirral motorway. 92073 passes the little-used level crossing on its way to Bidston docks. (92073) returns a little later with loaded hoppers. This spur between the West and Seacombe Junctions at Bidston was on the former Wirral railway lines electrified by the LMS in 1938. Regular working over the spur ceased in 1978, but was not officially closed until November 83. Negotiates the 15-mile-per-hour restriction onto the line to Shotwick. It is reasonably level to Upton, and 42942 on the rail tour seen earlier at Birkenhead docks is getting up speed for Storeton Bank ahead. Drifting downhill towards Bidston, another Shockwick to docks empties train. From Upton, the trains face nearly 4 miles continuous climbing out of the Fender Valley, hugging the contours of the land. The steepest part of the climb was a stretch of 1 in 75 at Woodchurch, where the 9Fs could be seen and heard at their best. This train, with 10 loaded hoppers, weighed in at 910 tons. The summit of the climb was at Heswall Hills. As another 9F runs downhill light engine, 92165 eases slightly. She was once fitted with a mechanical stoker and worked on freight between Sortley and Carlisle over the long drag. Viewed from the opposite platform, 92073 comes by, bound for Shockwick sidings. The line took the title of the North Wales and Liverpool Railway when opened in 1896 and was absorbed by the Great Central in 1905. This station was opened on the 1st of May 1898, 2 years into the line's existence. There were, in 1967, 55 9Fs allocated to Birkenhead Shed, 5 of which were ex-Crosty versions. A view from this well-kept signal box. 92160 runs back to the docks, passing a local DMU working to Wrexham or Chester Northgate. These ore trains ran under Class 8 head code as they were not fitted with the vacuum brake. Therefore, considerable attention was paid at Birkenhead Shed to the 9F's brake gear, for considerable skill was required on the part of the engine crew and the guard in his van to control these trains on the descending inclines either side of Heswall Hills. On the 29th of April 1967, 92058 hurries a rail tour south with just 6 coaches, a 7th having been dropped off at Bidston due to 3 hot boxes. It was en route for Crewe via Chester and Molesworth. This is one of the fully loaded trains of 11 wagons plus brake van at 1,000 tons. Neston North was the next station south of Heswall Hills. On August Bank Holiday Monday 1965, Chester Shed turned out 75012 to work the 1116 New Brighton to Wrexham service, normally DMU. After taking water, she left for Wrexham about 20 minutes late. Neston North was renamed from its original Neston and Parkgate name of 1899 in 1952, at the time the other Neston station, that of Neston South, on the Houghton to West Kirby line, was also renamed. That line went under the GC line near this point. This is an empties train of hoppers heading for Bidston. Shockwick sidings was 12.5 miles from Bidston, and loaded trains were allowed 48 minutes for the run. John Summers Steelworks was on the western side of the line at Shotwick sidings. It was because of the silted up River Dee that the ore trains ran from Bidston. The steelworks had its own internal railway system, some of which was of the narrow gauge of 2'6". Number 49, an 060 diesel mechanical, was built by Heswall Badger of Leeds in 1971, shunting the coal strip mill. Number 14 on the standard gauge was a diesel hydraulic, built by English Electric in 1970. These scenes were taken after the last 9F had hauled its load from Bidston. They were superseded by brush type 4s. For the last 9F hauled ore train of all, on November the 6th, 1967, Birkenhead Shed turned out 92203 with commemorative headboard. For this run, Sir Richard Summers, director in charge of the company and a former director of the LMS Railway, drove the train from Bidston to Shotwick. The driver and fireman were entertained to lunch at Shotton and handed a cheque to entertain their colleagues of 8H, Birkenhead Shed, who over the 15 years had worked the ore trains by steam. 92203 was within days of preservation by David Shepherd, the wildlife and locomotive artist. 15 years later, on the 11th of September 1982, at Foster Yeoman's Stone Terminal in Somerset, the engine successfully lifted a train of 2,143 tons, over twice the load of the Bidston dock trains, and equal to 24 hoppers of iron ore, a probable record for UK steam haulage. This was the last of the ore trains passing Burton Point, the station near Shotwick, which had closed in December 1955. On the same day, November the 6th, 1967, Birkenhead Shed closed to steam. Although it was adapted for diesel traction, it survived until 1985, the 150th anniversary of the GWR, one of the joint owners of the route from Chester. It was demolished in 1987. In all, 28 9Fs were withdrawn on this day and went away for scrap. Once again, the gradient out of the shed proved as slippery as ever. Steam on the Wirral went out with a bang, with the 1,000-ton trains storming Storeton Bank, and, perhaps, with a little help from the Birkenhead cleaning gang.